Hey there, Strikers! Have you ever wondered what would happen if your main got into a fight? Are you curious about who really is the strongest character? Well, this might just be the video for you. So, if you want to play the gamer equivalent of My Dad Could Beat Up Your Dad, like, subscribe, and let's get started. First, we need to establish the rules. All gear and equipment used by Strikers is fully allowed and counted towards their rating. Detail will be considered standard human without any weaponry or training of any kind. Also, each character's position is going to be slightly flexible, because there really isn't much confirmed about the character's powers, and a lot of this will be me taking some of the Strikers' in-game abilities, combining it with the lore, and trying to find some sort of middle ground that's close enough. Please remember this video is not just for fun, you should take it 100% seriously, and if you disagree with any of the character's placements, you should leave multiple hate comments, or come harass me on Twitch, where I usually stream at 9 PM UK time. The protagonist is a kill character for a reason. It's undeniable that Juliette is very strong, with all of her in-game abilities hitting possibly a little too hard, with most of their power coming from her physical strength. I say most because of the flame effects we can see around them, showing that Juliette has some level of magical ability, albeit fairly weak. Her lore lines up with her in-game abilities perfectly. Her physical strength makes sense as she's been playing Core Strike basically since birth. Her high stagger would be due to her getting the shit beat out of her repeatedly while playing Core Strike, and magic is just kind of a thing in this world. Juliette's a well-rounded brawler, and I think she fits solidly into the B tier. Kai's slightly harder to judge. We don't have as good of a grasp of his physical abilities because we only ever see him use magic. Due to this, we're just going to assume he's not exceptionally strong, but his magic is pretty good. Unlike Juliette, he probably won't go for a straight-up brawl, and if I had to guess, he'd probably fight similar to his zoner in a fighting game, keeping his distance and hitting you with projectiles. This is why he's harder to place. Against a melee fighter, he's going to have a large advantage, but against someone with range, it's going to be way more even. Because of that, he's right in the middle of A and B in my mind, and what pushes him into B is the fact that most of the other characters have some amount of range, as well as him being, like, a bit weaker physically. Dubu is big! He's also really tanky. Honestly, Dubu, along with X and Asher, would be put into a high stagger tier if the game was trying to match the lore. As far as I can tell, his ability to create bamboo logs and plates of tofu is just because they needed to give him abilities, rather than him having some magic food summoning powers, meaning that he doesn't have any magical technology. When playing Core Strike, Dubu apparently acted as Juliette's bodyguard, meaning that he can either hit really hard, or take a lot of hits, and my bet is on both. I think anyone trying to fight Dubu would struggle to even hurt him, and there's a solid chance he might just get crushed, putting Dubu into the A tier. Estelle's pretty scary. Physically, she's nothing crazy, but her magic is a different story. Unlike Kai, every ability of hers does damage, and it does a pretty good amount. I could very easily see a fight with Estelle being instant, with her landing a headshot and ending it straight away. On top of that, she has a quick teleport that can be used to avoid at least one attack. The reason why I'd rate Estelle over some of the other magic users is precision. Considering Kai and Estelle's personalities, I could absolutely see Kai not caring about precision and just trying to overwhelm people with his magic, whereas Estelle would focus more on accuracy and style. Because of Estelle's greater control, I would probably put her at the top of B tier. Now, to talk about the person who manipulates space and time to play football. Atlas is actually an interesting one, because while his technology is insanely powerful, its application is just not super suitable for fighting. The only real offensive ability he has is maybe squashing someone against a wall, which is pretty brutal, but assuming you're in an open space, it probably won't work. I also think that not being a great fighter fits Atlas pretty well. Within the story, the reason why he's developing his technology is so he can bring back his parents, and within the game, he's got the least kill potential out of any character. Atlas is going to be put into the C tier, and I really don't think he'd mind. Drekar has a gun. You may think that this alone would put him in S tier, but it might not be as impactful as you think. Drekar's weapon is a hybrid of an energy shotgun and a sticky grenade launcher, and you'd think that would just kill people, but that's where it gets complicated. So, we know from Juliette's story that people do get hurt in Core Strike. There's no magic or technology protecting them. We also know that Drekar uses his gun in the lore, meaning that, for some reason, the gun is less effective than an actual gun would be, because otherwise people would die. There's two possible reasons for this. One is that Drekar just turned down the power of his gun, which is possible since it's energy-based, or that the people of Arkham City are physically stronger than current humans, which is very possible. Considering both Oni and magic exist, it seems entirely reasonable that, for some reason, people have gotten stronger. Either way, Drekar's going to A tier as he's an experienced soldier from an alien military. Rune is our first S tier. This may be slightly surprising, but he's powerful as fuck. He's able to wield the power of Obscura, an alternate dimension that's a weird void abyss thing. Within the game, he's able to teleport, create anomalies, and banish enemies and the core to Obscura. We also don't know if he's using his full power. Within the story, Rune is just following Obscura's orders and has been told to compete in the Pro League for reasons he doesn't know. Before gaining his powers, he was just a normal person, which is probably the biggest points against him. He's not particularly strong, fast, or well-trained. Even with this in mind, reality-bending powers from another dimension put him solidly in the F tier. Magic and technology are cringe, but punching people in the face is based. With this in mind, X is the most based character in all of Omega Strikers. The only real question is whether or not he's an S or A tier. X is insanely strong. As a child, he 1v6'd his classmates, and he's the only person in the Pro League relying on pure strength. However, that's probably why I'd have to put him in A. As hard as X can hit, there's not much he can do about being banished to another dimension, or some of the other S-tier's abilities. While he'll be able to beat almost anyone in a straight fight, lots of the characters have magical technology that brute strength just won't be enough to beat. X will unfortunately go into high A tier. Ira might be surprising to some people. Since she was a kid, Ira's had magic and was able to drain the strength of her classmates whenever they upset her. The only reason she stopped was because she accidentally went too far and caused a more severe incident. We know that Ira can weaken enemies, strengthen herself, and summon a stolen magic. We can also be fairly sure that she's still holding herself back. The real question is, if she was in a fight, would Ira stop holding back? Even if we say no and she'd rather get hurt than risk going too far, she's still got some really high fighting power. Rasmus believes that Ira's magic is the closest thing humans have to Omega, the energy that powers a bunch of tech, the shit that made Ai.mi, possibly the shit that made Dubu. And I think she belongs solidly in the S tier. Now for Omega Striker's resident terrorist. Luna is S tier! I mean, like, do I even need to explain this? You fucking die. Like, you get hit by a rocket from the sky, and you're dead. You don't get to go elusive in real life, you just get hit. I don't understand how this one even works in the lore. Within the canon that Oddie wrote, this actual child just started playing the sport with an alien, and they were just allowed. Originally, they didn't even have Asher, which means that a child with the weapon capacity of a small army was allowed to sign up and start participating in the sport without anyone saying, wait, maybe we should have some stricter rules on who can play. She's obviously S tier, but I need to know how the rules work in both Omega Strikers and Arton City. Like, what the hell? Sonii's probably one of the weakest contenders here. We don't know a massive amount about her abilities, and the only thing really established in her lore is that she chews on electric cables. She's apparently some sort of electric bat, although we have no evidence of flight, so I'm just gonna have to guess at her fighting strength. The closest thing we have to a bat that can't fly is a rat, and the only electric rat I know of is Pikachu, so I'm just going to assume that Sonii's abilities are similar to that of a Pikachu, albeit slightly weaker as we haven't seen much evidence of her ever getting into fights. I think Sonii will have to go solidly into the D tier. Ai.mi is a result of Catgirl ChatGPT getting hit with a surge of Omega energy. Her abilities appear to be a mix of magic and the technology used to create her, but she isn't much of a damage dealer. Even in game, she gets skills by catching people near the edge, not by getting rid of their stagger. In the lore, she was designed as an AI helper, and in her dialogue, there's evidence that she still has habits from when she was an AI. So, even if she hated the fact that she was made to help people, it makes sense that Ai.mi would be better at helping her teammates than hurting her enemies. I'm putting her into beta. We don't actually know who the strongest character in Omega Strikers is. X and Asher complement each other, and Asher doesn't think that X will win in a brawl, but there hasn't been any confirmation. Even if Asher can't beat X, she's still strong and has the advantage of using technology. Her abilities are very focused on offense, either because abilities that just make her tankier wouldn't fit in the game, or because they wanted to match her more aggressive personality. In a fight, however, we can assume she'd be capable of both blocking and attacking with her shields, making her hard to take down, if she doesn't just beat your ass. I'm putting her at high A tier. Zentaro has the second lowest stagger in the game, with the only character below him being Octavia. He's more focused on speed and damage, which he's pretty damn good at. While the others were staring at their phones, he was studying the blade. And under his father's tuition, he became a skilled swordsman. Because of his speed, there could be an argument made that Zentaro will be able to take out some of the S tiers simply because he gets them first. But, considering he also can't really take it either, it's just as likely they'd hit him before he can get close. He'd also struggle against some of the tankier characters like Asher or X, so I'm putting him in A tier. But if you're doing a tournament bracket, I could see him getting pretty far. Rasmus is the closest thing Omega Strikers has to a villain. He's not particularly special in terms of physical strength, and he doesn't have any magical technology that he uses on the field. His whole thing is being the genius mastermind, which may or may not work in a fight. He is able to deal some damage, and his weapon is quite weird, so I can see people struggling to defend against it. But I doubt he has much experience in fights. He wouldn't have been able to fight when he was younger due to his frailness, and since he bought his way into the Pro League, he wouldn't have gotten any experience fighting his way through the amateur leagues. I'm just gonna put him in beta. I don't really know if the Demon Twins' abilities come from magical technology, so I'm just gonna assume it's a hybrid of both. Octavia is fragile, like a strong enough breeze is knocking her off the field. She can get really fast if she stays in flow state long enough, but I'm gonna be real, she is gone before she can start ramping up. In our lore, she was a well-behaved kid, so I doubt she got into many fights, and in game she does very little damage, so I really can't see her winning anything. Octavia goes in C tier, is probably the weakest fighter in the game. Vyce, on the other hand, has a lot more potential. She's got the second highest damage ability, only beats my Luna, and all of her kit has decent damage and kill potential. I can absolutely see Vyce winning fights, considering she can use her in-game combo of teleporting in and releasing a shockwave that will probably just insta some characters. Although it doesn't really disprove this either. Vyce was a rebellious kid, so I can see her picking fights, and she grew up to become an underground rock star, where I could still see her picking fights. I'm honestly not sure if she's A or B tier, but I think I'm just going to put her at the very bottom of A. 2 fun facts. Finii has canonically beaten Ai.mi in a 1v1 game of Core Strike, and she's in the second highest dagger tier, which means she has higher dagger than half of the cast. Finii is all about tricks. In-game, she actually has some decent kill potential, but this is far more from knockback than from staggering people. She can make people take more damage, but she herself isn't that great at dealing it. I can't really see Finii winning many fights. I think she can annoy the fuck out of the person she's fighting, but I don't really see her winning. As soon as someone gets close to her, she doesn't have any way of getting out, so she's done. I'm putting her in C tier, although I will put her at the top, since I can see her beating Atlas and Octavia. The newest Striker is a damn good fighter. In his gameplay, he's one of the most mobile, most damaging, and most relentless characters in the game. With his stance change and low cooldowns, he's able to keep attacking and pressuring people constantly, and pick up a kill anytime someone gets a little too low or too close to the edge. This matches his lore really well, like compliments to Adi, honestly. In his story, he was a fairly normal kid who cared a lot about his sick sister and went berserk when someone insulted her, beating them with an umbrella. He ended up working for Rasmus, who used him as a mercenary. As a berserker with fighting experience, Kazan is absolutely A tier. Alright, and that's the end of the... Fine, I'll do Juno. Fuck. We know basically nothing about Juno, and what we do know is fucking terrifying. She came from deep space, meaning she can survive temperatures of 2.7 Kelvin or negative 270.45 degrees Celsius. We know that she crashed land on Earth, meaning she survived both the heating and force that happens on entering the Earth's atmosphere. And she can make semi-sentient blubbers. This creature is not in, like, oh my god, she wins! She can, like, S tier, U tier, Juno tier, like, what the fuck, man? Could she just keep making more of herself? Is she just gonna cover the world at some point? Is she like a walking grey goose scenario? I don't know if we can kill her. Like, maybe a nuke could work, but it's not fucking guaranteed. I mean, Rasmus knows.
Juno. Cute, yet exceedingly dangerous.
This funny slime girl is quite literally a potential humanity ending threat. I just hope they can keep her happy or distracted. I mean, she goes into Juno tier, you know. Alright, and that's the actual end of the script. So, some of the footage here was from my Twitch channel. I think I said when I streamed earlier, so yeah, twitch.tv/Kitsunada. I have a question though. In Quick Play, do they put bots there? Cause like, the players I was playing with, like, I was playing characters I have never played before. I mean, like, I was playing Dubu forward. I've never played Dubu before, and I still won? Like, oh, anyway, see ya.